Hey boys and girls, this is Miss Ramsey. I hope you guys had a great weekend. This week, Miss Giac and I have decided we're going to do something a little bit differently. So, we're going to actually start this week off with a writing lesson and a reading lesson. And then tomorrow, we're going to have a live session with some of your ELA teachers. And you are going to actually get to tune in to a Zoom call, and we're going to get to talk about a story related to Mother's Day, related to this standard, and related to the stuff that you are doing in writing. So it's going to be a lot of fun this week, and we're really excited. So to start off, let me go ahead and tell you our standard for the week. We are looking at RL4, which is determine the meaning of words and phrases, both literal and non-literal language as they're used in the text. You guys have seen this standard before, and you're pretty good with it, but we're going to look at it in a little bit of a different way this week because we're going to actually look at similes and metaphors, and those can be examples of non-literal language. So let's dive in. All right, so today is Monday, and our I can statement is I can use literal and non-literal language. So let's look at what a simile and a metaphor are. A simile is a comparison of two different things using the words like or as. Here's an example. On her first day of school, Jane was as cool as a cucumber. Notice they use the word as to describe Jane on her first day of school. A metaphor is a comparison of two different things, and they do not use the words like or as. An example would be Noah has a heart of a lion. So that's a simile and a metaphor. The main thing to remember, boys and girls, is that a simile uses the words like or as, but a metaphor does not. And this can be particularly helpful when you're writing poetry or reading poetry, because a lot of times authors and writers will use similes and metaphors to describe things that they want to say in a more sophisticated or eloquent or fancy way. It's basically a way that the author can relate to your emotions and your feelings a little bit more. Let's look at some more examples of similes and metaphors. So these are some examples that you might want to use in your poem. We want to see you use similes and metaphors to describe your mom. So let's look at some examples. If you want to say something about your mom being a really nice person and caring for other people, you might say, her heart is like gold. A common metaphor in English is her heart is gold, or she has a heart of gold. That just means that she's very kind and she cares about other people. And another example, if your mom's a go-getter or someone who has big dreams or has accomplished big things, you might say, the world is like a stage, or the world is a stage, or the world is her stage, if you're talking specifically about your mom. That means that the possibilities are open and she can do whatever she wants in this grand big world, and maybe that's one way that you could honor your mom. Now this one is just an example that you see often. You probably wouldn't say this in your Mother's Day poem, at least I hope you wouldn't. But sometimes if you see somebody eating a lot, or that could be a boy or a girl, maybe a dog. I hear people say this about their pets a lot. He eats like a pig. That means they're very sloppy and they get things everywhere. So that a simile would be he eats like a pig. A metaphor would be he is a pig. And this one metaphor kind of changes the understanding or the meaning of this, because when you say he eats like a pig, that means he's eating very messy. But when you say someone is a pig, he is a pig, that means they're sloppy, they're messy. Maybe you would say their room's a pigsty. Some of you might have heard the book or listened to the book or read the book Pigsty by Mark Teague. That book talks a lot about this metaphor right here. This next one is a really good one for your mom and your poem. It says, you are like a rock. That means that your mom is a firm foundation for your family. She's something you can hold on to. Think about a rock. Not a lot of things can damage a rock, or even if they're really big, even move a rock. So there's something that's stable and always there. A metaphor for the same thing would be, you are a rock. You could describe your mom that way. You are a rock for our family. You take good care of us. You're always there. You're always stable and safe for us. This one says, your eyes are like sunshine. So think of the sun. It's bright, it's sunny, it's beautiful, and it brings lots of light and love into your life. So your eyes are like sunshine. Maybe you're describing your mom, saying that she brings lots of happiness and joy into your life, lots of warmth. A metaphor could be, you are my sunshine. There's a famous song. I think most of us learn it in preschool. You are my sunshine. It's a song, and if you haven't heard it, go to YouTube and listen to it. And it's all about this metaphor, and it describes how wonderful somebody makes them feel. So these last two kind of are like the eats like a pig, not good for your poem, but they are metaphors that and similes that you will hear often in the English language and as you're reading English text. So I thought I would point them out. Poor as dirt. So this is a simile that you will see a lot of authors use when they're describing people a long time ago. This was a very common phrase back in the 1930s, really through the 1960s. We don't describe people like this as often. Maybe you do, but authors don't generally use this as much. And it just means that you don't have a lot of money. You're very, very poor. Dirt doesn't have a lot of fertile components to it. Soil has a lot of fertile components to it, and it can help plants grow, but dirt doesn't generally help things grow, so it's very poor. It doesn't have a lot of qualities with it. Now, the metaphor right here, sea of sand, this one is much like poor as dirt. We don't see this in books as often as we used to, but this one is just describing something that has a lot of something. So a sea of sand means that there is a lot of something. So these are just some similes and metaphors that you will hear commonly, that you will see in text, but also there are some ideas on this page that might help you with your poem. If you get stuck on similes and metaphors, there are a lot of them out there. So all you have to do is go to Google, type in metaphors for Mother's Day or similes for Mother's Day, and there will be a lot of examples. And I know Ms. Geox is going to explain to you how to write your poem and how to use similes and metaphors even more. So I won't spend too much time there. Let's go on to our task for today. So I have put a copy of a poem that someone has written about their mom, and this poem has a lot of metaphors in it. So I want you to find the metaphors in this poem and circle them, then submit your work to your teacher. If you don't use the Seesaw app or Class Dojo, if you're just emailing your assignments to your teacher, just write the metaphors that you find in this poem and submit them to your teacher. So I'm going to read it to you, and then I'll let you go for today. Mom, you are the elements of the earth. A poem by Michael. My mother's heart is fire, blazing with the warmth of her love. My mother is the earth beneath my feet, steady and firm. My mother is the air all around me. Her love is with me wherever I go. My mother is water, bringing life to our home and family. So, like I said, find the metaphors in this poem, circle them, and then submit your work to your teacher. Don't forget, tomorrow, whoops, too fast. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and we have our live Zoom session with your ELA teachers. Bring your mom along for this fun Mother's Day read aloud. We're going to be reading Poems in the Attic, and we're going to have a discussion about poetry, and some of you might even have the opportunity to share your poems if they're really, really great. So spend some time today thinking about your mom, and tomorrow we will celebrate them all together. We look forward to seeing you guys. Have a great day.